endole yetwalibwa era ekabaala eyo bona abawe basobola okuba kuno okusaba olwaleero and tomorrow kusaawa eddo saawa 9 badda kusobola okuba ate nga bamuzika. Ensonga nnyingi ino tutusobola kuba ate nga tudimala, but of course tudda kwongera okuba ate nga tudiscussing ku ensonga eyindi abayo kweraliikiriza abantu. We just wonder how government programs and such confidentials leak in media. Nti ni budget gyemwakoze eya 408 and something millions ediri gyokuba ate nga gikolebwa bya leakinze mu media. Everyone has a budget of sending off Professor Emmanuel Mutebire. Of course, ndowooza nti at that level tulina okuba ate nga tukola checks and balance government prosecutors aba balikola ku nsonga eyo. Saasira yeneno kibiina kya NRM nekikulembera Uganda for 36 years. President Museveni ni ssentebe waakyo ate ni president wa Uganda. Yali ekololeyo yasinziyo yakola nti Uganda in 1 year from now we shall be in middle income. Middle income kitegeeza nti at least omuntu asobola okuba nga the required necessities edisookebwako takaalira ino. Ebyenfuna nga omuntu asobola okwetuusaako, asobola okusomesa omwana, asobola okwidandaba omuntu ng'alwaire. Enguudo nnungi kuuku weeti ku level eyaddire daakulankulana n'eno at least ng'obulamu bukyuseeko. Ku lukalu lwa Africa ne mu East Africa tulina amawanga agaatuukaawo. Surprisingly Tanzania yatuuka middle income amidst COVID-19 in 2020, and other countries Africa tulina South Africa n'agandi ni Kenya. So Uganda ndowooza tubaire nga tubaire inuma. So when the president speaks about this, ndowooza it is right time and is prophesying right. Can we have that in reality than when I say sometimes that they are political statements?
It's a very good thinking on his part, but as to whether it's going to be achieved is a different matter. I think there was a report that came out yesterday. It says that actually in Uganda to become a middle-income country, it requires 12 years.
Not 1 year?
No, 12 years. So the 1 year is a political statement because you have to justify 36 years of power, of being in power. But if you look at the quality of life and you look at the distribution of poverty in this country, on average to the number of people that have increased in terms of the amount of incomes that they earn that make them to be able to live a comfortable life, it's still a hard way to go. We are speaking of areas in Uganda where the poverty levels that have been, that has connived with the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, has reduced actually people from being what they were progressing. They have instead regressed. You look at it in the West, in the East, there is a map that shows all the poverty levels that have been distributed across the country. So I think that from a political point of view, the president has expressed something that is a wish list, so to say. But as to whether that one is going to be achievable, it's something.
We can call it a wish. Maybe he may be having tactics and a special methodology that he's going to use. Of course, he's the president, he's the fountain of honor. All state resources lies in his hands of jurisdiction. Yeah,
but you see, resources lying in his hands are not the development of an economy, the development of individuals in terms of how much they have for them to dispense of. Or how much how much you use for yourself to look after yourself. It's your personal money.
Yeah.
It's you who works for it. They don't give you free money. So to that extent, for example, if he said the number of industries that we are going to have, the number of jobs that we are going to create, the number of people that are going to be employed, the number of the amount of money that we are going to collect in taxes, the number of people that are going to be in universities, in secondary school, in primary school, those are the indicators that help you to understand whether you are actually progressing as a country or you're actually at a standstill. We have had 2 years of stillness. 2 years of stillness. No education. No one is at school, right?
Yeah.
Now, the pressure that is on Uganda Revenue Authority in terms of the kind of taxes that they have been collecting. So they're a parenthora of things that we should think of before we can start saying that actually we'll just wake up one morning and we are a middle-income country.
You don't see any indicators that can make us at least
near to it? There has been progress, but that progress needs to be contextualized. You can't just begin saying that, okay, we are seeing, look, A liter of petrol is 5,000 shillings, right?
By the way.
5,000. The exchange rate of the Uganda dollar to dollar is 3,500. So in other words, in order for you to put 1 liter of fuel into your car, you need $1.5. In the US, $1 buys you a gallon. A gallon is about 5 liters.
Not a liter.
Not a liter. So what exactly are we saying? No, and then we are talking about a very young population in Uganda. About 54% of the population are very young. Now, these are individuals who are not employed. They are individuals who are consuming. They are using data. They are using the phones. And they are not employed. Now, if you do not employ such a critical mass of people, and you think that the economy is going to propel itself, who is propelling it? Let me ask you another question. Who are the taxpayers? Almost 80% of the taxpayers in Uganda are from Wakiso and Kampala.
Actually, we have 1.9 million taxpayers out of the 10 million potential taxpayers. And the 1.9 are paying for the 44, 45 million Ugandans.
So you get the question.
Council, mu mwaka mulala, just in 1 year, Uganda tujja kuba middle income. This man says he doesn't see anything. He's seeing a dark road. As Uganda erijatomera teri kwogera ku oluguudo lulimu enzikiza. Iwe oli kibona otya?
I think President mutuufu kubanga mwikiriza abasoma Bayibuli bakiddi nti Katonda ng'atonda ensi yawuna yakoba nti ku lusooka ensi ebeewo ensi yakola ki yabaawo olwairako ati n'amaadi gabeewo enanda twawuuna ng'enanda dikola ki diriwo yajanga ensi agikola ati oyo yagikolanga ku biragiro byaba. So His Excellency nga believer ate nakuno is a believer ayinza okuba yabaye kwogera mu spirit ng'omwikiriza yakoba ati at let there be middle income. Challenge gye tulina.
So we fellow believers we need to believe with him.
But the Babazira faith in this man. Mwabazira faith nimwe muli kukibuusabuusa aye abalina faith bajja kulambala bawuuna enkyo oyinza ebya Uganda tibikanumya omwaka omulala gukabuzaayo emyezi 10 leero tuli kumaliriza, by the way tuli kumaliriza tomorrow but one tuli kumaliriza January. So we are going to wait for the 1 year.
But for the countries that have made it, have they believed the spirit?
Gundi kyakwinonoire Kunda is that middle income status eyaleero tiya Bayibuli. Eyaleero etambula mu mitendera. For example, oli muzaire muwala wo ow'emyaka 8 wakoba ati munanze baba omwaka ogwira nja kuzaala balongo. Your 8-year-old girl daughter okola otya?
Oyinza osekawo.
Bino kyena kyetusobola. But for me, from a more serious perspective, is I will treat it as a political statement because it was. But it's not the first time. At one time, we had been given that by 2020.
The target of 2020.
Yes.
Vision 2020.
Yeah, Vision 20. By 2020, we would be in a middle income status. The only challenge we have as a country, at least we are sure of what we want. Eh?
Are we sure?
No, we are sure of what we want. What we don't do is that we don't take the steps that deliver us to where we want to be. Eigwanga nga Uganda. Do you know it took Tanzania time to wake up?
Yes. Magufuli.
And Tanzania woke up in only 5 years.
And made it.
Magufuli delivered Tanzania to middle income. Mu myaka egi etano. Let me tell you, it's embarrassing. Eh? But what Magufuli did in 5 years in Tanzania, NRM has not delivered in 36 years.
True. Yeah. True.
You know, ngatuvira kubya politics. You will say, let us look at electricity. We have less than 25% of electrification of the whole country. Okulayitinga igwanga lyona lyona. Wokuba mapoti tuli less than 25% in 36 years. And unfortunately, when we are speaking about 36 years of NRM, we speak as if the country began at 36 years ago.
No, we just give them and
you
that,
get it.
But
you can comment, you'll discover by 1986, because every time we are talking about 1986, it's as if the country just began from zero. But by 1986, we had electrification, electric state coverage, Gwanga. Ngewera mu 10%.
Before 86?
Yes. HTGs and we're totally around 24.7. In the last 36 years, we've moved about 14%. Make state coverage. Job uze nti coverage mu Tanzania in the 5 years of Magufuli
was how much?
Yes, how much? Oje ku road coverage nti tuliko ba currency.
Yeah.
Eh?
It is one thing NRM
wano muliko bantu tukoze ngudo kino I narrow them down into the statistics or to comment kilometers in Mecca.
Ero oida 20
in what?
20,000
of roads
of tarmac.
Now kati ndikoba nti Magufuli himself ya deliveringa 48,000 of tarmac. Imwe muli kubaleda imwe. Yeah? That Magufuli man in the 5 years yatawo regional hospitals dazimbibwa dawa
schools
obona amasomero ge yakola. So if we are talking about tulija middle income status, titi ya bigambo abayikiriza bakoba nti we shall see you by the fruits of your what?
Your fruits of your
twayogera ku standard gauge rate. Twaja wano in what we call the coalition of the willing. Yeah? Because we as Uganda led the campaign that Tanzania appears to be a very unserious partner in this standard gauge rate. Yet tali interested. Twakoba ife Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan. Twayingira ife an arrangement ya ife. Jetwa ita coalition of the week. Standard gauge rate. Twakoba mtutandika okuzimba. Fena tuwalumuka mu China okufuna loans. Kenya started. Ekalimaliza because ekaina stretch eno. Aye etambuyire. Elikwide malaba. Magufuli yaida about 4 years after we had gotten loans. Ifeka tukaina kutandika ni compensation ekali kutandika. Magufuli yakuba tajafuna sente daba China. Yakuba we are going to get money internally to funding gauge rate and from other sources they sobola okwaffordinga. Buza standard gauge rate e Tanzania buti etusewa. They have moved bali kumpi tutukaku. Baba tajafuna loan. Aye nga byabikola myaka eji etano. So when we are talking about okujja mu middle income status, eidala erira ku mubyenfuna. Twetaaga okutoola emboozi mu buyikirizo bwa Bible tugize. So that is my only take.
It discusses Magufuli. In 5 years he did miracles. And it's like yageme endovu ya mwene yagibisa mu idinisa whereby other people could think it is impossible. If the president speaks not once, not twice, ngaidi nganga akyogeraku ki ekiremesa Uganda otuukaawo. Does the president has the will nga abantu bakola nabo n'abatakyenda, or he speaks and he doesn't have the willing to do what he speaks?
Like Council said, it's very easy to be able to put out a statement of saying a wish list of things that you want to happen.
Yeah.
But the actualities of that, now, what Council didn't tell you is that what Magufuli did best, actually, was the ending of corruption and collecting of taxes.
You end corruption,
collect taxes,
you maximize
on taxation,
on the revenues.
Yeah. And that's the internal funds that he used. I think the only country I remember that Magufuli got money from to help him to borrow money from was in Turkey. But Turkey had very little conditionalities, for example, like were imposed by China. He threw out China. He threw out China and told them, I'm not interested in your loans. So
because he understood
that the repercussions, that the kind of conditionalities that they were putting on these loans was going to become a problem for Tanzania. In other words, he had a vision. So if Magufuli can do that kind of thing in Tanzania for 5 years, and we have had 36 years, and 36 years, let's say that we had done it even in 10 years, by now we should be in the middle income. But there are structural problems that we have as a country. Structural problems that don't help in galvanizing and making this economy to thrive to the level that will make us. Look at the primary schools we have. You're from Busoga. You have seen the kind of primary schools that we have. People are sitting in mud. What kind of education are you giving to our children? Now, if you're saying that moving to a middle class, a middle income country is going to be based on the amount of money that a person is supposed to be earning, right? It's an average.
An individual.
It's an average. No. So you'll say, Council, you know, lawyers are very rich people. You say that Council has like 10 million. A certain Nkunda me, I earn 500,000. You, the good journalist, you are earning 2 million. So they make the average of 10 million, 5 million, and 500. Yeah. And then they say
others get artificial money.
They don't get physical money. So then you make an average, and you say that literally every person in Iksoro and Usoga should ideally be earning $1,200, and that's what makes us in the middle. The other day I was laughing, Council. I met a gentleman, and he had just bought a Corona car.
Yeah.
And he told me, I think I've become a middle income person.
How long has it taken minus buying it?
So I rest my case there.
Okay. Just on the same note, President was giving some of the bottlenecks of the past regimes. Those presidents that he came after, saying those people, at their time, they did what they did to disorganize development. So it's like he found a country. Council was saying that Uganda had something. All of us, we believe. Because there are still other resources that are still holding names of those people who are here. Regional referral hospitals, Tamaka roads. People say, on this person's regime, Obote's regime, this was made. And but the president is ever saying those people, it's like he's not crediting those people what they did. He was speaking about Idi Amin, the 8 years of Idi Amin that did bad to Uganda. So it's like he began Uganda on almost zero. That's why for these years he's building. You could say for 36 years he could have made it. But now for him, he knows what he found.
You see, it's very easy to be able to determine who writes your history, right? So if you asked Museveni to write his own history, why can't he begin it at the time that he worked in Obote's government as a senior researcher, as a researcher in the president's office?
Of course, he was saying he can't write because he did not have the authority to change. He once talked about that.
Exactly, I know. But the point I'm trying to make is this, that there are certain things that each of those leaders, even the protectorate government, even before independence, there are certain things that they did to this country which must be recognized, right?
Yeah.
Milton Obote had his own faults, but let's take it. It was possibly one of the most non-corrupt government that we had.
Obote's regime.
Yes. 2, look at the hospitals, the regional referral hospitals that we still have in Uganda. They are built by Milton Obote. Name them. Nakasongora, there are many. Schools. You remember the IDS schools? Where did you go to school? Did you go to Mwiri?
No.
No, okay, whatever. The schools that I went to Kigaza School and I went to Namiryango, so I know how kind of.
In Kenya we had Obote way, even roads.
No roads. So the point is, each one. Idi Amin. Do you know that if it was Idi Amin is the last president? Unfortunately, my father died during his regime. He was a police officer, so that's a different matter.
You have a bad history of Idi Amin.
But the point is,
yeah.
If you look at the things that Idi Amin was possibly one of the most nationalistic presidents that we had in Uganda.
Was it
nationalistic. These things that we are failing to get fuel, that fuel reserves in Uganda, it is something that was created by Idi Amin. The fuel reserve in Ijinja, the fuel reserve in Nakasongora.
In fact, one built the fuel reserves, one has failed to fill the fuel reserves.
Do you need any further explanation?
So,
but maybe for me on that,
yeah,
I would say, TD, how many presidents have we had in Uganda since independence?
I think we don't.
We had Frederick Fred
Mutesa. So we had Mutesa.
We had Obote.
After Mutesa, we had Obote. After Obote, we had Amin. After Amin, we had Binaisa. After Binaisa, we had Rule. After Rule, we had Obote. After Obote, we had Tito Okello. After Okello, we had Museveni. After Museveni, 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 we had Museveni. Now we are on Museveni the 7th.
So how many presidents have we? Our presidents have
So between Obote or 1985, ni Museveni the 7th, or 2021 to 2026, tubaileo ni ba president mwenda. So obwire butuuse tulekere okola reference. The first post 1986 government we had, mandate yayo yatambula okuva mu 1986 yalina okukoma mu 89 yawo wabaawo review yatandika ya stretchingibwa paka mu 1995 eyo yakomaawo mu 96 twaja mu kulonda okwa president yo omuyaka
Semwogerera ndi Museveni.
okitegeera twaja mu kulonda okwa president ki
omuyaka.
Ono president yafuga okuva ekinana n'omukaaga
10 years.
yafuga emyaka 10 faka 96 ekitegeeza yali afuze emyaka molesi egigayita egy'Obote yafuga emirundi emeka
Ebiri.
molesi so oyo tumusuubira nti yandibaire yamaliriza ku bizibu bire ebindi bye balekawo kubanga ye ebizibu byasanga byabo beyasikira. Twafuna president owundi ava mu 96 eyesimbawo nise mwogerere n'abandi bamayanja. Oyo president yawangula government empyaka yaida
mu 96.
but president oyo yasikira president yavaako
Owa 86 paka
owa 86 era oyo president yatufuga okuva mu 96 paka mu 2001 mu 2001 wabaawo okulonda okwaliwo abana Uganda balonda president owundi yasikira ole owa 96
between Besigye and Museveni.
aha abantu balonda president gwe bali balowooza so story ebaire etyo bwe tuva mu 2001 2006 bayira mu balonda president owundi yasikira president ole mu 2011 bayira mu balonda
president
owundi yasikira ole yaliku mu 2016 bayira mu balonda president oki owundi mu 2021 baizemu bakoze eki so president wakoba ati former regimes nze yasomaku regime dentandikiraku nidino dona okuva bano bona so Museveni wabali tukuba nti ba former presidents ndibala Museveni the 6th Museveni the 5th Museveni the 4th Museveni the 3rd the 2nd the 1st.
So when we are stressing the record, we are not so much
iwe totukoba nti watandise kufuga yesterday because the way the conversation is, it appears as if 36 years is yesterday. Yeah? So how many years do you need to stop referring to past mistakes? And for me that's a challenge. In life you're either optimistic or pessimistic. Until why do you make your comparison of past mark ababagwa? Why don't you compare yourself with the top performers? But there is a report here waka nakoba nti yi Sam fees dola detu sasula ofuna otya 30% kubatia ibabo idinga eriyo omwana ero gobeta Dismas ye yafunye 9 yafunye 4% nze wasato chidinga nakoze
before nje kumukuwa mnakatela Desmond. Yes. I want us to wind up this. Which percentage of creativity, innovation, hard work do you give NRM in 36 years? Because NRM was celebrating. I don't know whether you joined the celebration.
I'm not that political, but the thing is, what they have done is the political sustenance, sustaining themselves in politics. Because if you look at the other governments that we've had, they didn't have the gravitas of sustaining themselves in power. But I think it's something that we give credit to them, that they have been able to understand the political landscape of Uganda, and they have maintained themselves in power for 36 years. If you look at Obote, he couldn't even sustain himself in 5 years. If you look at, Idi Amin did 7 years. So it's always, they should give credit that they can at least remain in power for this longevity. They have understood the political landscape. They have maintained it. They know how to navigate.
Okay.
Everything political in Uganda, and they remain in power.
So if one says that we have vision, I was hearing one of the government officials saying we have vision 2050. You still believe they can be there?
I think it's going to be very difficult to uproot them. I think they have been. It's going to take a massive change in terms of someone who is going to uproot them. I think the biggest one of the things that is making them remain what they are is that they have really invested themselves politically, socially, and they understand the body politics of Ugandans to the extent that manipulation, whether we say that they've manipulated elections or not, they understand how to deal with the political process.
Okay, so we can say that NRM in Africa is a political giant. Let me just have a very short commercial break. As I come back, we hear just vision.